am here as promised, and I did get dressed, so that's a good sign. We are going to get started on our rosette cake, and I'm going to try to do this with no chilling time. And this was a very, very popular type of cake that I used to make when I worked at an actual bakery. It was a very, very, very popular kind of design. So I'm going to start making that right now, and hopefully we can do it without having to chill that crumb coat. I'm just gonna turn you guys around here. It's not letting me do it. Sorry guys, I'm trying to, hi Becky, I'm just trying to turn this around. Normally I have a button where I can do that, but for some reason I can't find it. 1 second. I also dropped some buttercream on my foot, so 1 moment please. I hope you are all doing well. I saw that so many of you guys answered me on what you do for a living outside of your baking world, and it was super, super interesting, just the diversity that we have here. Okay. I think I also solved this. Hi, Laura. Okay, here we go. So I've got my 8-inch cake board. Whenever I am decorating cakes, I like to go about 2 inches more than what is required. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. I really love my kitchen too. The one thing is this stuff here, it damaged the granite or whatever this is. I think it's supposed to be quartz, but it damages so easily. So I have so much stuff on here that I wish was not on here. So if you guys watched my tutorial yesterday on baking cakes, these are the cakes that I baked. And if I don't bake something right away, if I don't decorate something right away, I always cover it in plastic wrap just to maintain that moisture, though this cake recipe stays very, very moist. Sorry, I'm just gonna make sure I have the chat up here so I can see. All right, it's a very weird feeling being able to see yourself in what you're doing in a different screen. Okay, so I'm gonna actually flip this cake over. So because this is gonna have so much buttercream on it, I'm just going to, I'm not going to slice it in half. Normally I do slice it and then I fill it that way, but because there's gonna be so much buttercream on the outside, I'm not gonna do that today. One thing I don't like about working with chocolate cakes is I get the chocolate all over myself, and then it kind of goes onto everybody else's, or onto everything else that I want to be white. Okay, I'm gonna pour some sugar syrup on there, and this sugar syrup is basically just a 1-to-1 ratio. So a 1/2 cup sugar. I really need one of those squeeze thingies that mixes it in really nicely. The reason that I flipped over my cake, by the way, is because this side is more porous. So it's able to pick up a lot more. I'm not going to be too overly generous with the way that I fill this. And this is done with Italian meringue buttercream. Highly, highly suggest that if you're making a rosette cake to use some sort of Swiss or Italian meringue buttercream. I just find you don't have to fiddle around with the texture so much. Like with, whenever I used American, which is what we used at the bakery before, the bakery that I used to work at, and it's just, you have to fiddle around so long to get the right rosette texture that I was never a big fan. Whereas with this, it's right off the bat. Trinidad, that's amazing. Never been there. There are so many places that I need to visit in the world. Don't worry about this gapping that's there. We're gonna fill it all in. And like I mentioned, we're gonna try and do this without a crumb coat of any sort. Sorry, we're gonna do a crumb coat, but we're not gonna chill it. When I'm doing chocolate cakes, I sometimes like to do this with instant coffee or just leftover coffee. Again, not being super, super generous with the way that this is filled up. Just a little layer here. So we're gonna put a lot of rosettes on the outside. I know rosettes are kind of something that have been around for a really, really long time, and they were trending a while ago, but I still feel like a lot of people ask for this. And I don't do orders, but when friends and family come to me, they're always like, oh, I really love this rosette cake that you did. And so I'm still surprised that people are wanting that. What's a cake trend that you guys are surprised that continues on? Minecraft continued on for a long time, and I was over that very quickly. Just washing my hands, guys, 1 second. I tell you, the constant hand washing has really got me down for sure. I've developed eczema on my hands, which I never had before. But at school, the kids have to wash pretty much every single time they change a room. And if I change a room, I need to do it too. So it's very much a lot of hand washing. Now this is a pretty tall cake. I'm kind of making it, it's somewhere in between, I would say, a 6-inch regular and a 6-inch extra tall. An extra tall would be if I slice these layers in half, add more buttercream in between, that would more so be an extra tall. Sorry, something is wrong with my internet connection. This is what stopped me from doing a lot of lives in the first place. Sometimes the internet connection in my kitchen can be really spotty and weird. So I'm back, sorry. Okay. I'm wondering, can you guys still see me? Is it my computer that's off? Yes, okay, sorry. I'm just a disaster today. Okay. So now we're going to take our piping bag. This is going to be an ombre rosette. And gotta say, not a fan of these piping bags. There's nothing wrong with them, it's just that they're really small. But these were the only ones that were available. My regular supplier is all sold out of the ones that I like to use by the Cake Mama. You guys know I love using those ones. But unfortunately, I don't know, they're sold out. They've been sold out for a while. Definitely gonna have to get more buttercream. This is why, my friends, too, so important to charge appropriately for these rosette cakes. Because although they're simple, they do take up a lot of buttercream. Okay, so let's start off with our first rosette here. And again, I didn't overfill this bag. It says the max is here, so I'm not going to overfill it. And we're also only going to do one row around. I'm going to go from white to darker. I always start from white to darker because I find it's really, really hard to go the other direction. I just end up wasting a lot of frosting that way. If your customer asks you to go the opposite way, I always say that there's going to be additional charge for that. So we're going to start from the center and go around. Now, the placement of your rosette matters in terms of making sure that you don't end up with that rounded look. Also try as best as you can. You see we're overlapping here. I do not want to put it under. Wow, we've got so many people from so many different places. A lot from the UK. Hello. I've always wanted to visit the UK. And California, awesome. And Washington. I love California. It's so, so close to where I live. Well, not so close, but only like 2-3 hours away. So that's not bad. So yeah, just make sure the placement of your rosettes is relatively the same. That's what's going to give it that cool look. And notice I did not chill this in the fridge at all. I'm just going in with it. My friend who now owns the bakery that we worked at together, she can do these cakes in like 5 minutes, and I will never understand how she's so fast. There's something so satisfying though about piping this. All right. I feel like I don't have quite enough for another row. So I'm gonna have to make more. So a surprise tutorial, I have to make my Italian rye buttercream. I'm gonna leave this in here. Pro tip, try to have more than one mixing bowl, because you can just make buttercream without having to clean everything. How many of you guys, like, the cleaning is the worst part of running your baking business, or just baking in general? Love how concise your videos are and your personality. Oh, good content. Thank you, Marie. Thanks so much. Not being super concise right now, though. I'll give you that much. Okay, I'm going to pop this in the fridge just because I have to make another batch here. And I might bring you into my second kitchen in a second. Oh, thank you. Yes, the cleaning is the worst, right? I would love it if I had just someone to clean up after me. If my husband were here, he would say that he was that person. Okay, I gotta find my second bowl. What other ways do you guys like to use up egg whites? Egg yolks, I should say. I'm always using the whites, and I don't have as much use for the yolks. I love making a creme brulee, as you guys know, or carbonara. I love doing that too. Right? Like, there should be a percentage of each cake that you make and the profit that you make from it put towards someone to come and help you clean. Okay, so we're going to break up this and put some more egg whites in. Tell me what your favorite type of buttercream is to use. I pay my husband to do all the cleaning. I like that. I shouldn't tell my husband that because I don't pay him, but he still does it sometimes. Okay, let's break these egg whites. I like to toss it back and forth. Oh, if you ever get a shell in there, by the way, the easiest way to pick it up is to take your eggshell and do it. Otherwise, you're chasing that eggshell around the bowl for eternity with your finger. And just toss it back and forth. I never crack my eggs anymore on the side of the bowl. Ever since I watched Gordon Ramsay say that that's not the best way, so obviously I have been doing it wrong my whole life. Curd, brulees, homemade mayo. That's a good one too. I do definitely love homemade mayo over the bottled stuff. Oh my goodness. American buttercream. Yeah, my friend loves American buttercream too. I do have to say though, like her stuff, her American buttercream tastes quite good. She has a lot of different ones that she makes. So for my Italian meringue buttercream, I generally use about 4 egg whites. When I first started making Italian meringue buttercream, I was very, very strict with myself about how I did it, the exact temperatures. Now I pretty much just eyeball everything. The one thing I can't eyeball though is the 300 grams of sugar. I'm gonna pull you guys into the other room. My favorite thing to bake, I think it's gotta be choux pastry. Anything that has kind of a choux pastry like thing is one of my favorites. For whipped buttercream, could you elaborate on what whipped buttercream is? Sometimes you guys enlighten me, and there's so many things that I don't know what they are. So if you're ever making more batches of Italian meringue buttercream or Swiss meringue buttercream, of course you can't use the same beater without washing it. So I'm going to go grab my other one. And where is my other one? Oh, there it is. I have broken so many of these whisk attachments. I don't know why. I guess I'm just too rough with them. Okay, now we're gonna measure out 300 grams of granulated sugar. I love using brown sugar with this as well. I've never tried vanilla sugar, but I think that would be really good. I feel like as you chiffon cake, oh, delicious. I feel like sometimes when you get into cake decorating, it's like you start to stick to the same things that you're baking over and over because you're working at such a high rate when it comes to decorating cakes. And I get a lot of questions from you guys about, that was 75 grams of cold water, by the way. I get a lot of questions from you guys asking, why did you stop baking for business or things like that? And honestly, it's because I was starting to, first of all, get stressed, wanting to spend more time with my kids, but you start to fall out of love with the actual baking itself, and I really wanted to get back to that. Yeah, you can get the whisk attachment separately. Please, where do you buy your baking supplies online? A lot of my baking supplies I get from a place called Scoop and Save. That's mostly the tools. And I still sometimes buy like my bulk flours and stuff from Superstore or just like, which is just a grocery store. It's nothing fancy. I find that's not too expensive. It's like 10 bucks for like a really, really big bag that lasts me quite a long time. So we're gonna let that sugar come to temp. I always do this on my gas stove because it's way faster. Whenever I do it on my electric, it takes about 7 years for it to reach the temperature. And whenever I'm making Italian meringue buttercream now, I don't really even bother to take out my thermometer because I can just visualize. And I also find that if you're off, like even 10 degrees, if you're off, it's really not a big deal when it comes to this. I would say that if you're doing a fondant covered cake that is, sorry, if you're doing a buttercream covered cake that is smooth, then my one batch of buttercream can cover it and can fill it too. And if you're using a different filling, like a fruit filling or ganache filling, you'll probably even have stuff left over for a 6-inch cake. That is the one, oh, okay, we'll see you later. Sorry that it's taken so long. But yeah, that's the one thing that I wish is that I had a bigger bowl because then I could make even bigger batches of the Italian meringue. I'm also going to show you, so this is like kind of room temp butter. It's very cold where I live. Even though we have the heat on and stuff, it's still quite cold. Our house has really high ceilings, so it's hard to keep everything nice. So this is like straight from the refrigerator. So you might see that when I add in my butter, it's going to get kind of curdly. And if you've watched any of my videos, I think one of my first like 7 videos was how to fix curdled Italian meringue buttercream. And so I'm going to show you how I do that. I'm just going to put it over this pot of simmering water if that happens. Sometimes I can catch it in time. Just going to check back here to see if I missed any questions. I really only use American buttercream. I have yet to try any others. I don't have the patience for it. My friend's the same way, and I totally get that. Meringue buttercreams are my personal favorite for flavor, but I prefer American sometimes for the crusting effect. Definitely. I do think that sometimes you do need American for that crusting. My friend showed me the other day how she, because if you watch my tutorial where I made the striped buttercream, it was really interesting, but she managed to do the striping without having to let it set in between colors. And it blew my mind. To this day, I still don't understand it. I think it's because she really coats her cakes well and with a thick, thick layer of buttercream. And when you're working with so many cakes at once, it's fine to have that much buttercream at once. But when I did cakes, I didn't make that much at once. Honey, you're going to need to clean it up, okay? Clean it up.
I did.
Good. All good?
Yeah, but now can I have a snack?
Yes, you may have a snack.
Let me see what we have.
Sorry, my daughter's wanting a snack. If you guys have kids, I'm sure they're constantly wanting snacks until they move out. All right. So as you can see here, we're developing bubbles. And you can also kind of see really where the even heating of your thing is. I guess there's a little bit of wind, so my gas fire is burning this way. Oh, honey, not those. You can have the dish ones. Give me cookie choice. There you go.
It's not really made up for that.
I guess so, but not too many. Okay, so once I start seeing those bubbles, we still have a little patch here. So I'm going to let it keep going for a second. At this point is when I'm going to turn on the KitchenAid. I apologize. It's going to get loud in here. I really think between the, thank you, she is so sweet. I really think that between the sounds of the KitchenAid, the food processor when I'm making macarons, plus the instruments and the singing that I hear all day long, I'm gonna lose my hearing by the time I hit maybe 40 or 50. The person that taught me how to make macarons wore hearing protection, and I think she's very, very smart, but apparently I have yet to do so. Right? Snacks is where it's, to be honest though, I love snacks too. So I get it. All right, so that sugar is up to temp. Slowly, and you notice I'm on about 6 here, and I'm gonna slowly pour this in. A steady, steady stream. All right, now this is where the temperature really matters and what you do here. And this is where I feel a lot of people maybe get intimidated by the process. So we're gonna turn this right up to 10. We're gonna whip it for 1 minute long. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring it down to 8 after that minute is up. And then normally if I was making just meringue, I would keep whipping it for 2 more minutes on 8. But here, I want to maintain, it's very hot, and I want to maintain that heat to help me slightly melt that butter. But of course, again, like I said, it's cold here, so we might have to put it back on the stove for a sec. I have 4 kids, aged 1 to 13, and the snacking life is life to them. Oh, sprinkles are the best though. Of course they're gonna go for that. Yeah, when they become teenagers, I'm sure that I won't be able to keep food in the house. Okay, I'm gonna turn this down to an 8. Still pretty warm. Now, again, if you're using the same method for macarons, you have to be a little bit more careful with temperature and everything like that and how long you're whipping it. But because we're using this for buttercream, which is very, very forgiving, I'm just gonna look at it. Oh, interesting. I've never had an issue with coloring either of them. So when I color, I generally just, and I think it might matter what colors you're using too, Maria. What kind of color brands do you use? Even my teenager wants me to serve him food. Ah, yes. I tell ya, I have gained so much weight during the pandemic. From eating. Okay, I'm gonna start adding in this butter. I'm gonna add over the leftover here. I add in about 400 grams. And I am very, very imperfect when I am adding this in. Gonna turn it down just a little here. Now, if you're using American buttercream and you're noticing that your rosettes are kind of flopping over as you're trying to do it, have no fear. Add more butter. Don't add more icing sugar. Again, turns into a pasty disaster. Oh. Did you try that heating method where you heat up the red buttercream, or using red food dye that is powdered? Maybe I would try a powdered. See if that works better for you. I just saw the heating method the other day. Yeah, I feel like that heating method might be the way to go. So how did you rectify the situation with your Elmo cake? Did you just airbrush it? That's what I would have done. So see there, it was quite soupy, and now it's like nicely going up to this whipped. And I feel like too, a lot of people quit when it's soupy. Okay, that is a lot of decibels for something so little. Okay. What I'm gonna do here too is because I have leftover buttercream here, and again, it's cold in my area, so I'm gonna re-whip that with the new buttercream as well. Let's do this. Oh, that's fantastic. Carly A. Music. Nice to see you. Oh, I was just talking to the people on YouTube, honey. Do you want to say hi?
Hi. Hi.
Okay. Let's check on this. Yeah. Nice and smooth. Ready to go. Ari, the people of YouTube say hi. They say hi back. They're saying hi to you.
Hi.
See you when the world's not sick. Bye. I'm overstaying home. Okay. I know that some of you probably have less restrictions at home. I envy you. Okay. Sorry, it feels like it took a long time. Let's do, we're going to start dyeing our buttercream now. So the trick to getting a good ombre, instead of just, sometimes you'll notice it's just like solid color and all of a sudden it's another solid color. So let's get this ombre, and the trick to doing that is really just to add in a little bit of color at a time. So I'm gonna just do maybe one drop here. And I'm using a mirror color. And I'm actually whipping this by hand rather than whipping it again. And we get this kind of nice dusty pink color. Make sure it's nicely incorporated. Do you guys have any baking plans for today? Or maybe are some of you baking right now? I used to love watching live baking while I was doing like huge orders. It would kind of make me feel like someone was in the same boat as me. Okay, let's do this second color. Now, when we're starting the second row here, I'm gonna go right there. I'm gonna start right in the center there so that we fill in all those gaps. If I do it here, I'm gonna get gapping eventually between each one. Now, if that's the effect that you want, and maybe you wanna put a pearl in the center, then that's cool too. But I want everything covered. And I want you to take note of where I come down there so that, see, I'm really giving nice coverage to those roses. Also, if this happens to you, or you get too much, you really need to wipe that off or you're gonna start losing all the definition of those rosettes. This one is a 1M. Classic 1M tip by Wilton. So I'm thinking we're probably gonna fit in 3 rows of rosettes here. You could have gone smaller, but. Ooh, first macarons. I wish you luck. I wish I had taken pictures of the very first macarons that I made because they were so funny. You would have loved to see them.
Oh, no, but you stink like veggie straws. Whoa,
I'm live right now.
that cake looks great. You should tell me that before I get in. But yeah. Whoa. That cake's almost as pretty as you.
Aw, thanks, babe. 13 years, magic's still there.
My son's asleep.
Yes.
Little guy. Little fella. What did you do today, Gooser? Watch tablet all day.
You broke your foot. Oh no. On your one good foot. Oh no.
I don't know what you guys were playing.
Sarama, how do you say your name? Is that how you say it? Sarama? Oh, I'm the worst at pronouncing names. In my head, though, when I read your comments, that's what I'm saying to myself.
I know, I'm just messing with you, buddy. I don't know, where's the dustpan?
Okay, and see how I end off that last one? We kind of just swoop it up and act like it looks exactly the same as all the other ones. Okay, so glad I nailed that. Okay, now we're going to do the next layer. And since this is ombre, we're gonna add the same amount. Again, one little drop. What kind of icing do you use to crumb coat. Oh, I'm using Italian meringue. Personally, to eat though, I love making cakes with ganache. But I just find I personally can't do as much with ganache. Sorry, I noticed that some of that was a little bit white-ish. Okay, now we're gonna go again. Now, see, I wasn't super even here, so this is where now I have to pay the price of not being super even. I'm gonna have to bring it up. Now what I wanna do, because I wanna create that edge with my cake, is I need to bring up the rosette just slightly. So see there, I'm bringing it up just slightly. Yeah, ganache is the best. Which direction do you guys pipe your rosettes? Clockwise or counterclockwise? I go counterclockwise. So see here, I don't like that. But so what you can do if you want to and you really don't like it, you can scrape it off, but I just find it easier to just leave it. I'm gonna make an Oreo cake. Ooh. Yeah, my niece's birthday is coming up. Really thought that we would be able to see her for her birthday, but unfortunately no. So I'm gonna make her this ultimate Disney cake. And my sister sent me a list of all of the characters that she likes. And so I've got to come up with some sort of cake for that, which will hopefully benefit you guys as well. Ooh, this is going to be tricky to fill this part in. Hopefully I can do it, but we'll see. There we go. And of course, you're always going to get one side that's more perfect than the other side. No big deal. Ooh, I make ice cream cake every year. Clockwise. I think last year my sister bought me a Saint Honore, which was very delicious. But of course, when you don't have the choux pastry fresh, it's not as good. I said to my husband, I was like, I really want you to follow one of my cake tutorials for a video. But he's very nervous. He's like, I don't want to waste all of your ingredients. Oh. So I've done this with American buttercream lots of times. But, and again, like I said, you've got to continually keep adding like icing sugar, more butter. Butter is the way to go. If you're doing American buttercream, you should add more butter. But again, it also matters. I feel like it's more temperamental with, okay. All right, now we're gonna fill in the top. So what I wanna do is I wanna bring it out here to get rid of all these little spaces. And this is the part where you can breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief because you've made it all the way up there without all of the rosettes coming off. And notice I'm bringing out that edge because I want it not to be so rounded. Giving it a little bit more of an edge. This cake is for a friend that ordered it for her, I think her mother, she said. Her 90-year-old mother or something like that. If you guys saw my Insta story, my son was all about eating that running on a cake, but I can't believe that he only wanted to eat the fondant. I actually haven't eaten fondant in years. It's strange to me. It's almost like you're eating Play-Doh. Like, you guys know how much we really handle the fondant, right? Help hide irregularities in the cake. Layers. I can never seem to make my cakes look smooth. I want to make this type of buttercream and hurt. It's not as sweet. It isn't as sweet, and I get compliments on this buttercream all the time. Like, people are like, you know what? I'm not really that into buttercream, but this is so good because it's so much lighter, right? It is buttery. I'm not gonna lie. It's very buttery, but it's not that kind of really sharp sweetness that I feel sometimes American buttercream is. You can talk.
No, I know.
There's other chip clips in there. As for, who said that? Oh, for evening it out, okay, so it does matter what the shape of your cake is underneath, I would say, but I highly suggest that you go and check out my video if you haven't already on how to fix cakes with buttercream. Even though that one I showed like a really broken cake and how to make it smooth, I feel like that will give you some really good tips on how to even out the way that your cake looks. Again, a pre-warning though, you will have to add a lot of buttercream. When you're trying to fix a cake with buttercream, it's just what happens.
Can they see how fancy you are for this?
Kind of, I think.
You are in like an outing dress for like a night on the town.
There's nowhere else to wear the dress, hun.
Fair enough. Just make sure they know that you're looking like you dressed up for them. They should know that. I feel that's very important.
All right, let's finish up this row here. By the way, I am doing this very leisurely. When I was running my cake business, I'd just be going so fast with this. There you go. All done. Now we can get even more fancy with this and add a little bit more to it. Why not? It's my channel. Let's add some more stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna add some of these little pearls here. Let's keep it nice and kind of white and airy. Just gonna throw these on there. When you're adding them to the side of your cake, you just huck it. Just throw it so it lands right on there. It's very fun. Highly recommend. Oh, of course, I don't recommend you putting on the wrong color. Have no fear. That is what your tweezers are for. I remember I watched Cake Boss do this, and I just thought, what is he doing? Now I understand. It is so much easier than trying to carefully stick it on, you know? This type of cake, too, looks great with the glitter letters, the glitter letter toppers. All right. I think we're done, and this is so versatile. Like, even though I know this trend has been going on for a very long time, it's still so versatile, and it's something you're gonna be able to use in your back pocket over and over and over again. And again, we didn't really have to do too much. It's all about how much buttercream you're making, so just make sure that you have enough buttercream on hand. And I will show you guys what this looks like in the light. And there you have it. Oh, see, we've got more of that squared off edge happening. And again, everybody's rosette cake is going to look a little bit different because everybody pipes them a little bit differently. Aw, that's so sweet. Yeah, so thanks so much, guys, for joining me. That was really fun, little Saturday piping and making some cakes. I am going to be heading off to IKEA again. I feel like I say that a lot to you guys. I am going off to IKEA though because I'm going to redo my craft room, which has a lot of baking supplies and things like that too. So I'm going to be showing you how I am going to redo that whole room because honestly right now it's just kind of an empty room with a desk and things lying all over the place. So I'm going to show you guys how to organize that and how to organize it so that it is going to be a space that you want to go to. You know, I know we work in our kitchens a lot, but we do need a lot of supplies like that as well. Thank you, Jessica. It was really, really nice seeing you guys. I will see you for the next one. I know my lives have been a little bit far and few between, but spring break is coming up, so I will see you then. Bye, guys.